Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. It is Movie Monday. So to keep on going with Barbara Hershey Week, I wanted to review one of my, no, scratch that. It is my favorite movie. I want to review my favorite movie. Today I want to review Beaches. Beaches is such an amazingly good movie. I've watched this movie how many times just because it's that good. Um, basically, the movie, according to the back of the box here, when the irresponsible C.C. Bloom and the shy and proper Hillary Whitney first meet on their boardwalk at the beach, all the 11-year-olds have in common is a need for a best friend. Worlds apart in lifestyles and location, their friendship ebbs and flows through a lifetime of highs and lows, career changes, marriages, jealousy, and more. From the boardwalk in Atlantic City to the beach house on the Pacific, Beaches will remind you of what being a true friend means. Yeah, so basically, Beaches, it stars Bette Midler and one of my favorites, Barbara Hershey. And the movie is ultimately about friendship and what a true friend means. And these two girls were like polar opposites. Cece, she was underprivileged, and she worked for the Sammy Pinker's Kitty Show doing shows trying to get discovered as an actress, while Hillary Whitney was privileged and she had all the money in the world, but the one thing that these two needed and wanted was a friend. And they met on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, and they they hit it off. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Cece sings the glory of love, and that kind of sets the mood for the whole rest of the movie, and it's just such an amazing song and such an amazing performance. They get their pictures taken, and they go to have soda at this hotel that Hillary's staying at, and it's like this fancy one, so Cece feels a bit intimidated, and they decide, I think it was Hillary who wrote her address on the back of the photos, and they say to keep in touch. And what's very interesting and what I found fascinating about Beaches is the fact that Hillary and Cece didn't meet again for 10 years, but they kept in touch because they always wrote letters to each other, they called each other on the phone, but they never could just meet again. And when they met again, they were in their early 20s. Hillary was in law school at Stanford, and she was trying to be her own person. She was trying to get out of her father's shadow in a way and try to be her own person, not the person that he wants her to be. And Cece's a struggling actress. She's playing at dive bars, and Hillary meets Cece again, and she needs a place to stay, so Cece lets her stay at her apartment, which isn't the greatest, but Hillary's finally glad to be free at last, free at last. And they live in the apartment for a while, and Cece is still a struggling actress. She has different jobs while Hillary's working for the ACLU. And Cece, while she's at one of her jobs, meets this guy named John who's part of this theater group, and she joins the theater group, and she works her way to getting a lead in his next play, and she was a hit. And meanwhile, she has a major crush on John, and John doesn't seem to return the affections. And on opening night of the play, Cece's very hurt to find out that Hillary actually slept with John and that she would do that to her. And she's, like I said, she's really hurt about it, but she wants to forgive her. And they spend some time apart when Hillary goes to take care of her father who's sick, and that leaves Cece and John by themselves, so they get to know each other more. And we keep thinking that Hillary's going to come back, but her father keeps getting worse, and she stays a little longer, so I guess it was actually years she was gone then. And during that time, Hillary ended up getting married, and I don't know, there was something about her husband I didn't like. He just gave off this vibe, and the way he talked to her, I didn't like, and Hillary wasn't like that at all. And meanwhile, Cece married John, and she actually had this. She was actually the lead in this Broadway show, and she was actually a big hit, and she was able to afford a much nicer and fancier apartment. And that's when Hillary and Cece reunite again during Cece's opening night, and they kind of realize that they're growing apart in a way, but they end up having a falling out when Cece tells Hillary that she's jealous. She's so jealous that she can't even stand it. And I think what she meant was that Cece is going after her dreams and making something of herself, while Hillary has always dreamed about being a lawyer, but now she's just at home. She's like a stay-at-home wife. She goes and does gardening, and she went out to buy a wrench, and she's not really doing anything with her life. And I think that's what Cece was meaning. Like, she's not thinking for herself, which isn't like Hillary, so that's why I didn't like her husband. And they're very heartbroken when they say they're not gonna contact each other anymore, and they don't for a while. And Cece decides to write Hillary letters, but she's still very hurt, so she sends them back, and their marriages both begin to fail. Cece and John end up getting a divorce because Cece wanted too much attention, and the fact that she's become a success that she's kind of forgot her husband. And meanwhile, my hunches about Hillary's husband was correct, because he actually cheated on her with this blonde bimbo. And what was really cruel is that he cheated on her, and Hillary found out she was pregnant, and her husband didn't want anything to do with her, the baby. I just think that's so sad. And that's when Hillary and Cece meet again, because Hillary's all alone and she needs her friend help her. She wants her friend, like, she's very scared. I mean, raising this baby on her own. And she earns Cece's admiration for wanting to be a single parent, and she offers to help her raise the baby, and she helps her throughout the whole pregnancy. She helps her set up the nursery and buy baby stuff, and Cece actually dates her obstetrician. And it's quite funny because it's not that he's trying to change her, but she's trying to change for him. And she's wearing this like well put together outfit, which so is out of Cece's character, because she's usually wearing these brightly colored wacky outfits. And she ends up dumping him to get this part in a play, and leaves Hillary behind for a bit until she has the baby. And you see that Cece is there for Hillary when she goes into labor, but it's quite funny because while she's in labor, they're having an argument about something in the past, and Cece ends up actually fainting on the ground. And that kind of has to go back to that kind of goes back to the fact that Cece always tries to steal the spotlight, and everyone's all concerned about Cece, and then there's Hillary in labor and no one's paying attention to her. And she ends up having a baby girl that she names Victoria, and it was a sweet scene when the baby's born, and Cece and Hillary just both admire the baby. It's so cute. And you see years later, Victoria's actually 11, and Cece ends up having a pretty good singing career after how many years of working hard and working dive jobs. And Hillary's finally a lawyer again, like she always wanted to be, but she's always sick all the time. She's going through some health problems, and she's not, it prevents her from doing stuff with her daughter. And she actually collapses at work and finds out that she has cardiomyopathy, and that her condition is fatal. So Cece ends up coming back to be there for her friend, and she takes her to Hillary's beach house for the summer with Victoria. And Victoria and Cece don't get off on the right foot. Victoria's jealous of Cece sitting in the front of her mom like she usually does, and they're kind of arguing at the beach house. Victoria doesn't like the fact that Cece throws her towels all over the floor while Victoria's mom makes her pick them up, and they're just arguing. But then Cece teaches Victoria this dance and they hit it off, but Hillary's jealous because her health's deteriorating and she wants to be able to do those things with her daughter, but she can, unfortunately, and she only has little time left. And Cece comforts her and gives her some tough love in a way, because she kind of mentions that you're not at the funeral yet, you're not dead, so enjoy the time that you have left and enjoy the time you have left with your daughter. And she snaps out of it and she gets out of her pajamas and she braids her daughter's hair and helps with dinner. And you see them, the next scene is like leaving the beach house. Her and Hillary are playing cards, which Cece can never win. Hillary always won playing cards, and they kind of reminisce about old times, like when Hillary made Cece sing Christmas carols for all night long. And you could see that Hillary's health is deteriorating. She looks weaker, and when they go home, she looks really bad. And Victoria's about to go to Cece's concert, and after watching the movie so many times, I believe this scene when Hillary said for Victoria to go get the bag and Victoria couldn't find it. And I believe, because Hillary ended up passing out on the ground, and I believe that was her trying to prevent her daughter from watching that. And Hillary ended up being in the hospice, and she does not have much time left. And you see Cece throughout the movie rushing to her side. She was at her concert, and she must have got a note or something that Hillary's taken a turn for the worse, and you see her rushing to get to her. She can't get on a plane because of the weather, and she had to rent a car, and I believe she got pulled over at one point. And oh my god, I get so sad thinking about this, because when Hillary looks at Cece and says, "I waited for you," I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so sad. And she tells Cece that she doesn't want Victoria to see her here like this, and Cece tries to convince the hospice people to let her go, and they're like, "Do you realize how sick she is?" And like, yes, she wants to go home. And instead of going home, she takes her to the beach house, and she says her final goodbyes to Victoria, and Cece and her have a final moment before she unfortunately passes away. And it's really sad because they have that song "Wind Beneath My Wings" playing in the background, and it's just really sad. And after the funeral, when Cece goes through her papers, she finds out that Hillary left Victoria to Cece, and Cece admits that she doesn't know how to be a parent, and that she could be very selfish at times, but there's nothing that she wants more than for Victoria to go with her. And Victoria agrees, and she goes with Cece, and I think that was the best decision Hillary made, because her father didn't want her, and I think Cece would make a great mom. And at the end of the movie, Cece's paying tribute to Hillary and singing the "Glory of Love" song that she sang when they first met, and Victoria's watching, and it's just a sweet scene, because even though Hillary's gone, she still lives on in Victoria and in the memories that Cece knew of and shared with Hillary. And when the concert's over, Victoria and Cece are talking, and Cece talks about when her and Hillary first met, and Victoria is like naturally curious, and she talks about when they first met in Atlantic City. And like I said, I think that's really sweet that Hillary gets to live on in Victoria, the memories that her and Cece shared. It's such a great movie. I mean, for me personally, what I got from the movie is that, well, for me, I've never had friends at all, and I've learned from the movie that it's better to have one friend that the friendship will last a lifetime, and versus having a whole group of friends that the friendships only last maybe a few months or a year or so. And it really shows what a true friend is. A true friend is always there for you no matter what, and always forgives you, and is there for the good times and the bad times, and is there for a listening ear and a helping hand, and is just ultimately there for you. And those are the memories and the friendships that last forever. And what I think is so cool is that I actually have a beaches friendship. And what I mean by that is me and my one friend have a Cece and Hillary friendship. We've For the longest time we never met. We only texted, sent emails, and called each other on the phone. And I believe after that we didn't meet for a year and a half, about a year and a half later. And when we met, it was the most amazing day ever. We had such a good time, and it was just so awesome. And now we still keep in touch. We still text each other, we email each other, we sometimes FaceTime. It's kind of like Beaches, and this century it's like a modern day Beaches. And now we're gonna meet this summer actually, and it's the first time we've seen each other in 2 years. And I just think it's really cool. We have like a Cece and Hillary friendship, and we kind of have some similarities where she's like very theatrical and is into acting like Cece, and we're both kind of quiet and reserved like Hillary. So it's just, I think it's just really cool, and we're always there for each other no matter what. We're there to help each other, give each other advice. We're there for good times when we have good news, and then we're there to help pick each other up when we have some sad news or bad news, or we just need some cheering up on a bad day. And we had this great idea to write a movie titled Modern Day. No, the title was called Modern Beaches, and it was going to be our story, and we were gonna have Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey have cameos in it, and I thought it was gonna be so cool. But then I heard about this movie called Miss You Already, and the critics said it's supposed to be a modern day Beaches. I was like, oh, are you kidding me? That was my idea first. I'm debating if I'm gonna go see it or not, but since the critics mentioned that comment, I probably have to go see it. But it's probably not going to compare to Beaches, because Beaches is truly a gem. It's just magical. Even though I've seen Beaches how many times, whenever I watch Beaches, whenever I watch it, I never, even though I know in the back of my head what's gonna happen, I never look I never look for it's always like I'm watching Beaches for the first time. Whereas if I've another movie like Terms of Endearment I watch, another sad movie, I always know, oh, we're till we get to this part, oh, we're so and so many scenes away till we get to this part. Whereas Beaches, I feel like I'm watching it for the first time every time I watch it, and it's just such an inspirational movie. It's truly amazingly done. I don't think there'll be anything like it again. Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey do such an amazing job in this movie. I adore Barbara Hershey. I admire her work, and I think she's awesome in this movie. And I feel so sad that her character dies, and it's quite sad because a lot of the characters she plays, her characters die, like in Beaches and in Once Upon a Time. So I'm hoping this new series that Barbara's in, I'm hoping her character doesn't die, because Barbara Hershey is just a star. She's sassy and classy and amazing, and anything you put Barbara in will make the movie or TV show 10 times better. She's just she's just amazing and works hard, and she's very passionate and proud of her work. So if you are a Bette Midler or Barbara Hershey fan like me, you'll definitely enjoy Beaches. I hope you can add it to your collection. I believe it is available at most movie retailers. I believe I see it a lot at Target. If you have on demand, I'm pretty sure I saw it on demand. I hope that you could add Beaches to your collection. You definitely will not regret it. I hope you enjoyed this Beaches review, and until next time, stay regal.